been great. You know, to see the standard is amazing. To think that it's not yet at the top tournament level, but I'm surprised to see the standard, and then to see the kids as well. The amount of kids that I think are coming through this week, I think it's over 2,000 kids from schools, and obviously it's a fantastic thing to get young kids into tennis. That's what it's about. But it seems to be, I think it's the first year, isn't it, that it's been played here at Surbiton, and looks like it's going to become an annual event.
What are your first impressions of the club, the grounds and the courts?
Yeah, I mean, it was meeting people here, you're surprised of how much there is, organisation behind all this. It's a very quaint club. It's a lovely setting. It's ideal, obviously, for Queens, preparation for Queens and Wimbledon, obviously, for some players. And obviously, players here at this level have got to try and get points to attain to get into those sort of tournaments in the future. So it's a very important tournament for the players. But for spectators that come down for the week, it's very quaint. It's lovely to see a tennis club like this level being turned into something really professional. You go to Queens, you go to Wimbledon, and everything's done. There's a lot of people that put in a lot of time, volunteers that put a lot of work in behind the scenes, and it's a credit to tennis.
Where did your love of tennis start?
Basically when I was a kid, watching Wimbledon, like we all did for 2 weeks. We all got a racket out in the summer holidays and played tennis. And that's where it was back in the day. I ended up playing for county, for Essex, for a few games, played in a few tournaments, just loved the game. It was something secondary. Obviously football was my main sport, but I played as much tennis in the summer as I could. And basically I met Tina actually, and she coached me, and we spent some time playing in the afternoons. She had a court at home, so that's really when I started playing some more regular tennis. But eventually I played when I was England manager, because I didn't have a club then to keep fit. So I went into the Royal Berks leagues there. I got myself into the top league there in the Black League, and played at a decent level, and that kept me fit. So I'd probably play 3 matches a week, and I really enjoyed it. I was very much into tennis.
Now, obviously, an incredibly naturally gifted footballer. Is that exactly the same as your tennis? Are you a naturally gifted tennis player?
Yes and no, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I could hit a ball with a top. Nobody taught me how to hit a topspin or a slice. It was already there when I was a kid. So I think, yeah, I had a natural feel for the game, more for that than I did for maybe golf when I was 16, 17. But so yeah, I think that natural sort of ability that I had in football comes through on the tennis court at times. Yeah, I did, picking up half volleys and things like that was a natural thing for me.
What's your best shot?
Definitely forehand. Yeah, forehand cross court. That's the ideal one if I can pull it off at times. But I was in the era when I was a kid watching Bjorn Borg, and that double backhand. I've got a double backhand probably because of Bjorn Borg. If I can't stretch enough, I'll play one-handed. But no, he was phenomenal to win what he did on grass. When the ball on those courts in Wimbledon, then when the ball sometimes didn't get any further than 3 inches off the ground, to play double backhand and play from the baseline and win as many tournaments at Wimbledon as he did, for me was just phenomenal. And then there was John McEnroe as well, which was just a natural flair player.
Which one would you say you're closer to? If we could, any pro tennis player, which one are you most like?
Yeah, I don't know. No idea really. I just love good tennis. I just love watching. I mean, nowadays they play a different game, don't they? How hard they hit the ball and how quick the game is, the tempo of it. I mean, where it will be in 20 years' time, you don't know. We were saying that in the 70s, but it seems every sport seems to just progress, doesn't it?
You spend quite a lot of time out on the paddle tennis court now in Spain.
Well, yes, I got a place in Spain in Surbiton. I've had that for some time, and it's I had a back operation about 4 or 5 years ago, so the tennis has sort of stopped really to a certain degree. I play a little bit of mixed tennis, but no, paddle, I really love it. Paddle tennis is a great game. It's something I don't think there's no awareness in England. Not many people know what the game's about. Obviously it's big in Spain and Argentina, but I love it down there. When I go down to Soda Grande, I'll probably play every other day, and it's a great workout. And if you get 4 guys of of similar standard, it really is a fabulous game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it'd be nice to see more courts in England because there's a lot of skill attached to the game.
What about footballers in tennis? Any footballers that you managed or played with that have shown a grasp, or any that have just been shocking?
Well, no, I've got to say that I've maintained this for many years, that tennis loses a lot of talent to football. There's a lot of natural tennis players that become footballers. They want to be footballers. That's the number one sport. And there needs to be some way of getting these players that are not going to be good enough at football at a certain age into tennis. Because I remember at Tottenham we went down, when I was a player at Tottenham many years ago, we played Southgate Tennis Club, which was quite prestigious around that area. And we just had a match, and our guys, some of the guys hadn't played tennis for about 3 years or something. We just picked the racket up and we had a match against these teams and we beat them, and they were blown away. We were blown away actually, but I was surprised. It was 10 players playing, and every one of us was sort of natural tennis players in many ways. Without coaching, without training, you could see that the lads could just pick the racket up and play. Now what you could do with coaching and time and effort and training, and if you got them at a young age, my word, I really do believe something's got to be done on a crossover between football and tennis at a very young age, when, okay, someone's got to be honest enough to say, you're not going to be good enough to be a footballer, son, but we've identified that you're a tennis player, or you could be a better tennis player.
What transferable skills are there between football and tennis?
Well, eye coordination, without a doubt, timing of a ball, all them things become natural in football, and they're natural in tennis. Sometimes you get that, you can identify that in a 6-year-old. It's there, it's in there. I did a test with I remember doing a test with my children, and I'd throw 2 tennis balls at the same time. And my son just caught them like that. My eldest caught them like that. My middle one, bless her, she was all over the place. But it was such a simple coordination, timing thing. So you throw one tennis ball, you throw the second, just bounce it into them, and you just see what their reactions are. And I think you can see it in a kid at a very, very early age, whether he's got that feel and that touch.
Is playing multiple sports something that you'd always encourage?
Yes, yeah, because sometimes, football's the number one sport in the world, and every kid wants to be a footballer, but I'd say sometimes let the sport pick you rather than you pick the sport. And I think it's important that we're allowed to do that. Unfortunately, sometimes the parents have got ideas that they're going to be footballers, or they're going to be golfers, or they're going to be tennis players. I think it's great for kids at an early age, and a real early age, to let the sport pick you. And I think you'll find a lot of the real natural talent in these kids will come out that way. They might spend 10, 15 years playing the wrong sport, and then when they get to 16, 17, 18, it's too late. So I think there's a lot in it.
I know it's a broad question, but both British tennis and British football get criticised for not producing enough talent. Do you think there's things that we are doing wrong on both disciplines and things we're doing right on both disciplines and get in the way of that?
I think in this country we've had a real problem for many, many, many years, way back, whether it's tennis, football, whatever. We don't know how to deal with real natural talent. We really don't. I left Tottenham after 13 years. I went to Monaco in France to play. And the difference, because I was a creative, natural player, the difference of the attitude of the people, the press, they just adored you for what you were. They weren't looking at sort of what you didn't do. In this country, we're always having to look at stuff that was on the negative side. And we don't really know how to nurture true creative talent and let it flow. There isn't a right way for a natural footballer. There isn't a right or a wrong way for a natural tennis player. You have to allow them to play in a certain way that's going to suit them. Because if they are natural, we get it. Unfortunately, we get it knocked out. That natural ability gets knocked out of us sometimes. It can be overcoached. There's certain things that coaches can give a player, of course, and as they learn. But the natural, when someone's got natural ability, you have to let it go and you have to nurture it and give them the confidence to believe in themselves, because then all it becomes is a mental side. Nothing to do with the actual ability. They've got the ability, and if they put the hours in as well, they'll get better and better. It's the mental side then they need to be coached, and they need to realise that they are a bit special. In England, we don't look at the special creative player or the creative tennis player, golf, cricketer, and embrace them. I think it's in Europe and in America particularly, they do that, and that is on the mental side. and I would get much more return if we were allowed to do that.
Psychologically, there's a difference between team sports and individual sports. So I guess it's the nurturing that individual talent within football, but still working within a team.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious. You know, it's a team game, but you can't do anything in football on your own. You know, there's some special players like Messi at the moment, or Maradona, or whoever. There's numerous players. You've got special players within a team that make the difference, and they'll get you over the line and win you things because they're that special. But you have to conform to playing in the team. It's a challenge, a different type of challenge to maybe a tennis player or a golfer. But it's interesting in Davis Cup and Ryder Cup when they come. It seems like when the Brits come together, they like it. They like to be a part of the team when it's an individual sport. And a lot of players you see respond in that manner. You know, particularly Poulter comes to mind with golf. If he could transfer that into his individual golfing performances, I'm sure he'd win some majors. But it's a mental thing.
Andy Murray, obviously, talking about individuals that take all that pressure. Do you ever feel a bit sorry for him having to shoulder that?
No, I don't feel sorry for him. I think he's in the end he's learned to embrace it. And I think if you embrace it and you take it on, he knows he's a great player, but he also knows there's some great players around it in this era.
How did you deal with that as a player?
Well, you have to enjoy it. You have to, you know, the bigger the task, the bigger the competition, the bigger the crowd. Even from a kid, I responded from that. You know, if I play golf now, if I play just, you know, and there's people watching, or if someone stops to watch, or if it played in the Pro-Am, I've always responded to that. And as a sportsman, you have that. I'm sure Andy's had that from year dot. And if you have that, then the more pressure that comes on, the more you actually enjoy it and you embrace it. And the pressure then doesn't become what everything outside thinks it becomes. So you have to enjoy the pressure.
Now we've had a few questions on Twitter at Surbiton RFC. One from at Forehand Berkshire says, "Will you be my tennis coach? And what would you do?"
From who?
From someone in Berkshire wants to know if you will be their tennis coach.
I don't know about the tennis coach. I'm not qualified to be a coach for anyone in tennis, I can assure you. But I know somebody who might.
Yeah. At Harry Harmon 12 says, "Who'd win a doubles, Hoddle and Waddle or Gazza and Lineker?"
Oh, Hoddle without a doubt. Left and right hand.
Yeah.
Waddler's left-handed. Lineker didn't like running anyway, so no possibilities of them beating us. We'd beat them hands down.
Do you ever manage to get Gazza on a tennis court?
No, I didn't actually. No.
Chelsea Till I Die says, "Did you start enjoying tennis after watching England and Ireland and nearly get bored to death at the weekend?"
Fortunately, I was flying back. Actually, I missed the game, so I was in the air when that game. But by all accounts, I saw the highlights, and if the highlights were anything to go by, I'm glad I was in the air. But it wasn't. It was a poor game, but that happens at the end of the season in friendlies. But no, I love tennis anyway. I didn't need to be driven to a tennis court.
At Mabbott's Mask, and you can tell his allegiance, it's put, "Glenn Hoddle likes tennis. How badly do you want to get back into management?"
Actually, I don't badly want to get back into management. I've had lots of numerous offers at the moment, but I'm very, very happy doing a lot of television work. I've just signed a new 3-year deal with BT. I've got a contract with ITV to do England games and a bit of Champions League, European games. I'm very happy doing that, and I've got 3 or 4 business opportunities that I'm involved in football or in and around sport. So I'm very busy and very happy at the moment. So no, not at the moment. I'm quite happy to do what I'm doing.
At Tom Christ 8 says, "Tennis or golf? What are you better at?"
Well, it used to be tennis by a mile when I was younger. I was really poor golfer when I was 17. But now golf, I'm a sort of 8 handicap golf, so I think golf's taken over. Because I had my back injury, funny enough, I can play golf without too much pain. But it's just when I play tennis, if I play proper tennis, I can't really serve properly now. It's more sort of mixed doubles or something like that. Although I know somebody close to this camera that's trying to get me back out on the court again, Tina. So at the moment it's golf, but it was back in the day. It was definitely tennis was my second sport. Yeah.
What do you think when you see these guys serving it? Just have a look at this.
I know. And you see the power and the pace that
Okay.
ball goes by. So look,
How would you defend that?
probably with a racket as big as that.
Thanks so much for your time.
That's all right, pleasure.
Cheers.